If you do have a question, just unmute yourself. But I would love to just be able to ask a few of you guys, after leaving the academy, um, what's one or two things that you are wanting to work on, but you just don't really have the how? Because it was a 400-page binder. So um, go ahead and unmute yourself, but let's be respectful of the time. I don't want one single person asking like 4 or 5 questions and taking up 15 minutes. This is an hour-long call. So that's the only thing that I ask of you guys. But whoever wants to be bold enough and brave enough to jump in, let's ask away. I've done this. I've walked away from it. I've implemented some things. So who wants to be the first to ask?
I will.
Go for it.
All right. So on the circle of cash flow, I do want to start implementing this. And I know you mentioned that you're asking for like the CPA and financial advisor referrals. When are you doing this exactly?
So like I told you guys, I epically failed when I tried to implement this, the day after I left the academy. But now what I do is in my website. So I do have a custom website. I'll be happy to share his name with you guys. He can essentially nowadays he creates like almost like a landing page before it goes to my mortgage application on Simple Nexus or Flowify if you use it. He's pretty cheap. I think he charges $600 to $700. But you go to themortgagenerd.com, you click on get started, and when they click on buy a home, I actually ask the client a few questions before they enter like a normal mortgage application. And I started adding those questions to that page. Do you have a financial advisor? Yes or no? If they hit yes, I ask for the contact information. And I do the same thing with the CPA. And so I'm getting it on the front end every time they apply. Now, the reason why I moved it to the front is because nowadays we don't need tax returns for every client. And it's just an easier way where I get that contact form in my email now. If you have a team, fantastic. You could task that with a team member to do the introduction. But I moved it all the way to the front of the line, and that's been an easy way for me to implement it. And the other thing is I don't know if all of you guys were in the room when I shared this, but I used to put the responsibility on myself to arrange like a coffee or a lunch with the real estate professional and let's just say the financial advisor professional. And like we all know how hard it is just to nail down a real estate professional. It's like a closing gets moved up or a last minute listing appointment pops up and they have to cancel. And now you've got to update another professional. It can get kind of chaotic. So this was just my choice. I eliminated that barrier from the equation. And all I do now is say, hey, realtor, as promised, I'm introducing you to this power partner. Here's the financial advisor and here's a sample script. And it's just they can email them, they can call them, but I no longer own the responsibility of their success. At the end of the day, they have to go out and make those connections. But I still feel like I'm delivering on my promise. And I still feel like when I meet with new agents, I can tell them that I have the circle of cash flow or a power partner program. And it keeps myself honest. And if they make contact, great. Now, I also make contact with that CPA and that financial advisor, and I also put them in my database because probably 90% of the time the realtor reads that email and then deletes it. Not a realtor like Eleanor, but majority of realtors would. So I don't hold my success in their hands, but I'm going to deliver on my promise and be different than the average loan officer.
Could you actually send us the script that you're sending to agents? Because that would be actually really nice to have. Because I mean, I'm doing something similar, like where like when I do like my actual meeting, I'm going to ask them about the financial advisor and CPA. And then at the very end, I'm going to call them, but I want to have something for the realtor too that I haven't. I figure why reinvent the wheel if you have something that works.
Yes. So what I'll do right now is I'm going to drop in the chat. This first message is what my team sends to the CPA or to the financial advisor. The second one is what we send to the realtor.
Okay.
And I believe Todd has these actually in the binder.
Okay.
But this is what like real time what we're doing right now. So that second one that I sent, it says, "Hey Josh, Jeffrey has a CPA and I thought you might like his contact info to introduce yourself. CPAs have lots of clients, and if there's ever a real estate need, hopefully they will think of you. Here's his email." And then below it, here's a sample script that you can send to him. "I'm working with your client, Jeff, to help sell and buy in Rowlett, Texas. And he mentioned you were a great CPA. I'm always looking to partner with top professionals like yourself. So I wanted to introduce myself. Looking forward to working with you, with your client. Let me know if I can help in any way."
I love that.
And, you know, then you teach this agent how to do the Todd Duncan ways, where now they've done the soft introduction. You're sharing that you have a mutual client. You could either go for the "let me try to schedule coffee," or you could friend request them. You could send them one of Todd Duncan's books and say, "Hey, you know, the whole FedEx thing that Todd talked about in the academy, you know, that's a wow factor." So, but these are professionals, and realtors just don't, they get so focused on repeat business and referral based business. And we have to also help them think of other pillars of business like this. It may be a slow growing snowball, but it's a snowball that they should be paying attention to that they're likely not.
Perfect. And what are you doing on your end, like when you follow up with the CPA? And sorry, it's my last question. I feel like I'm hogging all the time.
No. I mean, a lot of you guys are going to have this. So I do kind of a similar approach where I've got their information. We make a passive introduction saying we've got a joint client. We try to uncover something important about the transaction that requires us to have a phone call with them. We use something in the transaction as leverage, like, "Hey Joe, I wanted to run, you know, we're helping this client get pre-qualified. I wanted to run something by you. Can I give you a call?" And
Okay.
we've got a little bit more leverage because they think that they need us, you know. So then we have a conversation. They get added to my database, where every single week they get an email from me that talks about, you know, if it's a financial advisor, I'm going to talk about ways to keep more money invested and less into real estate, or how to buy a home and keep the highest rate of return on your money. Or, you know, because financial advisors, they want their book of business to continue to grow. They don't want someone to take that money and use it to pay cash for a house. So I'm going to purposely send marketing items and campaign items, and that shows that I'm a loan officer that thinks strategically and financially, unlike a financial advisor. And, you know, most loan officers don't think like that. So
Makes sense. Thank you so much.
yeah.
I can ask a follow-up question on what you were just talking about. Besides CPAs and financial advisors, who else in your circle of cash flow are you including? Trust attorneys, or what other professionals are you reaching out to, or actually asking on at the beginning of the application process on your landing page? Who else besides the CPA and financial planner, if anybody else, are you trying to get information on?
So that's a great question. And I would love to know where you guys are from. Where are you out of?
I'm in the Bay Area of Northern California.
Okay. So here's my only request. This is my sales tactic. If any of you guys have people relocating to Texas and you're not licensed in Texas, I'd love for you to think of the nerds. And I'm not licensed in California, so I'll send some people to the Bay Area if I have them. But I only ask right now those two, because quite frankly, those are the only two that I feel comfortable asking. But here's where I've done in the last few years that has been a game changer for me is I brought in my real estate attorney. I brought in I brought in a divorce attorney. I brought in an appraiser. And what I did is I interviewed them, short little 2-minute sections of, you know, how to have your house skip probate if something were to happen. And instead of doing this the cash flow way, because I'm not super confident in that way, I put my spin on it, where I interviewed them. I asked them kind of the top 10 questions. I spliced it up into little 2-minute sections, and I used that as content to send out to my clients. So my big thing right now, and if you follow me on social, I'm preaching How does your lender help you before you find a home, during finding a home, and after you find the home? And if your lender doesn't have a strategy on how they help you find, after you help them close on the house, especially when we're in this high interest rate market, you're not working with the right lender. And so every single client that I help, they go into a past client folder, so to speak. I've coined it as the Nerd Club alum because it's catchy. And every single month, they will now get a video that I've created. It's one timing. It's what Todd and I talked about. I've recorded this one video with this real estate attorney, and I can use it for them saying, if you have questions about, probate, if you have questions about a transfer on death deed, if you have questions about just any of that kind of stuff, how to set up a series LLC, I'll play that little video in my past client drip campaign, but I can post it on my social media. I can post it on my YouTube channel. So I'm trying to bring my partners via video that way and share it with the masses. And so far, I've gotten really good responses from it. And just 2 days ago, my December email that went to past clients, I said, you know what? I have failed you guys. I haven't done a good enough job having masterminds with my people. And so I lobbed out there, Nerd Club alum, if it would be beneficial for you, your kids, your family, your friends, whomever, to jump on a free webinar with my financial advisor, kind of like what we're doing right now, but with my financial advisor, let's do it. Let me know, give me that feedback. And I got so many responses that was like, oh my gosh, I would love a free webinar, because they're so intimidated by them. And I was intimidated by them. So I'm kind of using it that way as well, in that angle. But to answer your direct question, I'm only asking for those two. I'm sure Todd would coach me and tell me I need to be doing more. It's just where I'm at this stage. Is like, when you leave Duncan, it's like you've got an onion in front of you, and you really have to peel back layer by layer. And each year you'll get deeper into a layer, and you'll make tweaks. And that's actually, I think, the fun part of it. But this is where I'm at today. In 2013, I was waiting to get bank statements. I was waiting to get tax returns to see if there was a CPA, and that didn't really work for me. I would contact them, and so fast forward to where I am now, this is what I found is the easiest way to get at least those two.
I got a question, Denise. And obviously you're at a different point in your career right now, but is there a point where you are now still meeting with the clients? Is it before the app? Is it a Zoom call where you're having that face-to-face interaction? How does that process look? Maybe for you back in 2013, and then for us now, because obviously what we learned there is that people want the human interaction now. So is it a Zoom, or are you having them come into the office? What does that look like? And when does that portion happen?
So if you were to take me back to a one-man show, my feedback to you guys leaving the academy is the light at the end of the tunnel is that you can get out of wearing all hats. But when you are a one-man show and you're wearing all the hats, it's a grind. You're working probably more than 40 hours a week. You're working nights and weekends. It's just like any business owner that starts a business, you are grinding at the beginning. So I don't want to lie to you guys and make it sound like I didn't work my tail off at the beginning. I did. I sacrificed my 20s. I sacrificed having kids and getting married because it was so important to me. The light at the end of the tunnel is that if you build it right, you can hire, and then you can scale, and then you can be where I am today. But let's talk about when it was just a one-man show. At the time, prior to Zoom and technology, I was meeting a lot more people face to face. My job then was to take the application, pre-qualify them, get the pre-qual out. You have to meet with agents. Once I started doing roughly 10 deals a month is when I made my first hire to the team. And that first hire was my anchor. It was the person that was completely opposite of me. I wasn't looking for someone with a high D&I on that disc. I was looking for more of that SC, because I wanted them to be the technician or the nurse, so to speak, where they're pulling the credit, running the findings, doing the income calcs, because I could be the face person. I didn't like doing that kind of stuff. So I found that first role to be that person, so that if someone was applying and I was out meeting with a realtor, I didn't have to play catch up because I had somebody that could do that part for me. But that meant making an investment. And so, you have to have that conversation with your spouse. If you make $100,000 a year, but now you have to pay a $50,000 salary plus commissions to a person, your income's going to come down likely for a year or so. Like, there's a balance in that, but you're doing that investment now to build and to scale. And so then my third hire was someone more like myself that could help with those incoming calls that we get that just, they need to talk to a human before they apply for whatever reason. Maybe they want to know if it's a hard pull or a soft pull. Maybe it's that they want to say, I had a bankruptcy 2 years ago. Am I wasting my time? There are some people that still want to talk to a human before they apply. But if I was a one-man show today, coming off of COVID, and even though I do not think that a person-to-person connection will ever be stronger than like this Zoom connection. You know what I mean? It's never going to replace that. But let's say the in-office visit would create 100% high trust or emotional connection. I do feel that video or Zoom could maybe get us to an 80-85% connection. And I feel that that's enough to scale and grow. And so I would probably have more Zoom meetings because I only have so much time in the day, that if I can still build a strong connection, still answer their questions, but now I saved myself maybe 40 minutes of a drive there and a drive back. That's 40 minutes that I could save, that I could use to have a realtor mastermind for 30 minutes with 10 agents. So I think that there is a measure of opportunity cost. It's tough because we all know face-to-face, Todd proved it, will build the highest emotional connection and the highest trust. But what's the opportunity cost of doing all your meetings person to person? There's only so many hours and so many of yous in the day. So I do think you have to do a healthy combination and just be really strategic with your time.
A question for you, Mark here, Orange County, California. On the Lost Lead program, did you ever get involved in that strategy?
Yes. Let me show you.
And with it, part two is, my question is, and when you mentioned, make the statement of what are we fearing to launch into the next step? I feel confident in the process all the way up to that point in terms of getting the leads in. I think my trepidation at this moment is, who do I need to have somebody on board that's going to be able to make those calls to follow up on all those leads. If we got the average agent pulling in 200 to 300, 400 leads in their database that they're not following up on. So I was curious if you had somebody that you hired on full time, or did you go through a VA or a part-time person that would just make those calls for 2-3 hours a day? What did that look like?
So when I left High Trust, I made this nerd playbook. Can y'all see my screen?
Yes, ma'am, we can.
Okay. So one of the things that I thought was really important is explaining to a real estate agent. I hope this answers your question. If it doesn't, just cut me off. One of the things that I felt was super important is that every time I met with a realtor, they said, the biggest thing I'm frustrated with my lender is communication. And it's like what Todd showed us on those screens. If a loan officer was to rate themselves before the application and after, they would give themselves a crappy rating, And so that really resonated with me. And I thought, how could I combine realtors who want really good communication with the cost of a lost lead, right? Because I knew that that would just be like a double whammy equation. Right. And so I created this PowerPoint, the Mortgage Nerd Playbook. I printed it out. I used it for realtor masterminds. I would present this when I would go to title companies and say, here's how the nerd is different. But the very first slide that I started with was the cost of lost leads. And this is what, like, if you were doing a Zoom mastermind, so this is called the $96,000 truth. On average, realtors lose 10% of their clients because they don't have a good follow-up strategy. Think about that. If you generate 120 leads a year, that means on average, you will lose 12 clients. If your average commission is $8,000 per client, that's $96,000 a year.
Yeah.
Because of this, I dedicated 2.5 years to map out each stage of a lead. And so this is what I mean by, we have to visually show realtors what we do for them. And so this was my way of like, when you send a client to me, here's what you can expect. Now, this is all facilitated through my CRM, but I couldn't take my CRM and print everything out and try to digest it in like a 15 or 20-minute conversation. So I created this to be like, okay, when they're a prospect, the client's going to get a call and an email. On day 2, they're going to get a phone call. On day 3, they're going to get a call, email, and then this icon is to show that we update the realtor of the status. Hey, realtor, it's been 5 days, blah, blah, blah. And then I showed them, here's what it looks like when they're pre-qualified or pre-approved. Here's what it looks like.
Denise, quick question, Denise, are these the folks that you met with a realtor? We discovered that, they got a lot, they have 200 or 300 leads in their database that are 60, 90 days old. And they haven't touched them. We're extracting those, and then we're putting them on our database, and we're now making those calls on their behalf also for conversion. Is this your playbook here is geared towards that, or is this from a lead that you get from them right away?
No, so what you're talking about is what I call stale leads, I think, where you meet with a realtor and it's like,
correct,
hey, my lender hasn't done anything with these leads. No, so what I have is I take that list and I dump it into a campaign in my CRM that I built out that's called stale leads.
Right.
And I have it's not a dialer like what you're saying, it's a voice drop from my CRM that can call, they can text, and then it voice drops on their cell phone.
Right.
The texting is what we get the most response back with.
Yeah.
I don't utilize that strategy today because I don't have a lot of stale lead type realtors.
Well,
but
you're farther in your career than a lot of us, but this is such a great strategy, this lost lead, in terms of separating yourself from any other LO out here in Orange County, which is a huge, huge market. And everybody's doing the same thing, making coffee appointments with no real value. So when you walk in and say, hey, let me take those leads that you haven't done anything with, in the last 4, 5, 6 months. And they all have, the ones I know that I've chatted with have, 300, 400. So there's a lot to be done. I was trying to figure out, is it just, definitely we can put in a campaign. I was just wondering, from your expertise and experience doing this, now that you don't have to at this point, but at that time, did you have somebody dedicated to make those phone calls, to make a phone call to see if the potential client was still interested in buying, or is it just all text and email and video style campaigns to go forward there and then convert that deal over?
It was all text and email,
text,
which is probably why I stopped doing it, to be frank, because I didn't find it wasn't working for me. But I think Wally is speaking next week, and Wally has a full-blown dialing. I mean, he created something from nothing to, so make sure you tune into his class, because his is next level. But no, it never got off the ground for me. But I do I love the tactic of when you're meeting with a real estate agent, because sometimes I feel like lenders go in for I want to be the starting quarterback.
Right.
And there's already a starting quarterback.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you don't want to put that person down, because that realtor hired them and may has been playing ball with them for a couple of years. So I love the approach and the strategy of, I'm not asking for those clients today. I respect your relationship. I respect the loyalty. I hope that if another lender approached my realtors, that my realtor would stiff arm them too. What I would love is maybe those clients that you feel like need some TLC right now, that maybe your lender just doesn't have the capacity for. I'd love to be your, second string quarterback. That way I can prove myself to you. That's how I would frame it.
Yeah.
And I love that approach. I just sucked on actually implementing it.
I feel that reciprocity rule kind of kicks in as well. You're doing all this work, and even if you're putting reports at the end of every month and saying, hey, we've reached 400, we've got this, my feeling is, my hope is that they look at it and they go, wow, my lender's not doing anything like this. Hey, by the way, I've got a few, and there you go, you're off to the races. But at least it's an intro that nobody is doing out here, and definitely separates you from, the other classes. So, but the other playbook you had was, I can see how effective that would be in terms of when I get a lead, here's what I do. And here, you know, you've got a really proactive approach. So that's awesome. Yeah, definitely.
it's
So
nice
thank you
to
for your
have
time on that. I was just curious to see how you did the lost lead side.
This is my version of it, and I combined it with because when you put it in PowerPoint, this is for everybody on the call. A lot of, I learned from Linda Davidson, who's the queen of one-timing. It's kind of how my mind thinks is, how can I get it in front of as many people as I can to share the same message? And so a lot of the things that we learned from the academy, if you could just capture and put it into a PowerPoint, y'all, it doesn't even have to be fancy. Like I'm a fancier type marketer, but I promise you, it doesn't have to be fancy. If you just take some of the concepts and put it in a PowerPoint and you use that when you're having coffee with the agent, or you get brave enough to host an event with a title company and the title company invites 20, 30 agents and you're showing them this, when you lead with the cost of lost leads,
Cost of lost leads.
no matter what it is that you're explaining, I happen to just use that to go into my follow-up.
Right.
But I can't explain to you how important it is visually to be able to show the client with a PowerPoint versus just trying to word vomit it. It's so hard to understand and to grasp it. So I definitely would encourage taking some of the stuff that you see, try putting it in a PowerPoint. And when you're meeting them face to face, or you're hosting a Zoom, or if you're newer to the business, I just talked about this this week, that if you're trying to build a realtor roster because you're newer to this business, you could go at it in a way of, let me do coffees. Like, how many coffees could you get in a day? How many cold calls could you make in a day? Or you could just go straight to the title company. The title companies are thirsting for the type of loan officer that knows how to quantify things for realtors, meaning, should I wait a year to buy? Emotionally, everybody in real estate is going to say, no, you should buy now. That's an emotional statement. But a true advisor is going to be able to quantify that decision for you. And when you can quantify it and put it in numbers and facts, you're removing that emotional conversation, and you're showing them the pain of, okay, waiting 1 year might actually cost me 25 grand here, but it's not an emotional, it's deep rooted in numbers, and numbers don't lie. Yeah. So it's kind of me going down a tangent but if you're newer to this industry, the key is you have to grow your realtor roster as fast as you can. Yeah. Like Todd has said, if you don't have a follow-up for it, then you're just the hamster on the wheel and you're chasing your tail. You have to have a follow-up, but then I'd be trying to present as much of the stuff that we learned from Todd, make it your own, put it in PowerPoint, and go talk to the title companies, because the title companies are trying to bring something of value to these realtors, but they don't know how to quantify and they don't know math. They need us, Yeah. So
good point.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you.
I'm going to go through some of these. No problem. Let me see. You send to me your referral that a day. Who is your CRM? It's Be in Touch. The CRM that you choose, everybody gets bogged down in the CRM question. For the record, the CRM that I chose is Be in Touch, but every email, every text message, every phone call, everything I wrote. I didn't choose a CRM because it already came that way. I made it my own. Where to begin if you're newer in the industry? Hopefully I just answered that for you, Monica. All right, next question.
Question for you. All right. Sorry, Mark Hensley from Alaska here. I've liked everything you've said so far. I'm very new to the industry, and I'm trying to open up my own market here in our biggest city. My company doesn't have a giant presence here just yet. So that's my job. I started with cold calling. Bad idea, didn't work very well. I moved to title companies, got quite a few good leads there. I started looking at the board of realtors in our area. We have a couple. Those have been great resources as well. I've been doing 3 or 4 months of high trust, not quite high trust interviews, but face-to-face meetings, coffee meetings with a bunch of people. From your experience, Some of the things that I'm seeing that a lot of people are wanting are help with scripting for their teams and themselves, video, which I'm not into yet and you're great at, masterminds, which are awesome. But other than those things, what have you found to be the most valuable tools for realtors to talk to with their teams or their clients, whatever it may be? Maybe something unique that you're seeing a lot of, but something other than scripting, videos, and mastermind classes. Because education is always important, but maybe a document you created that they can use to ask good questions or whatever top of your mind, or anything like that that you can think of.
It's tough because we all want a blanket answer for the masses of realtors, but you know, just
something unique, something that you've seen maybe in your area time and time again that you maybe wanted a one-time something for them, so you created something unique for that area.
I feel like today, at least in my market, you know, the average age of a realtor is 55 years old. And I've talked a lot about this with my nerd folks, but a lot of people are paying attention to just a market shift right now. Market shift meaning that interest rates are high, but there's a generational shift that's happening that many people are not paying close enough attention to, and they're even blind to it. And what I mean by that is the Gen Zs are coming into the marketplace. They are going to become the largest generation, and they are going to become our first-time homebuyer generation, which is the biggest pool of buyers around. And so the 55-year-old realtor is not studying how to communicate and acquire business from the younger millennials and these Gen Zs. They're not researching and studying what problems they have, meaning the massive affordability issue that we're having. It's not just that rates are high, it's the fact that home prices just jumped up for the last 2 years and interest rates are high. At a time when these Gen Z and early millennials have more student loan debt than ever, more credit card debt than ever. You know, when I bought my first house in Frisco, it was $149,000. You can't find a house that cheap, you know, in today's market for these first-time home buyers. So they're not spending enough time studying how to acquire the Gen Z relationships. And these 55-year-old agents, these big wigs, the ones with the big databases, and they are losing market share every single day because they almost refuse to learn social media. They almost refuse to learn video. And if you look at the data, these early millennials and Gen Zs prefer social media. They prefer personalized communication. But when you talk about that to a realtor, they think of social media as TikTok dancing. And some of you on this call are probably thinking about it. And the reality is that you could be the biggest, baddest realtor in the marketplace, but if your social media is almost non-existent or not very good or not even business related, the message that you're telling the younger generation, the biggest generation there is that your lights aren't on as a business owner. It's like when you drive up to Chick-fil-A and you drive up to Chick-fil-A every single day and the lights are off, you're like, they must not be like in business anymore. That's the same message that you're telling people when you don't have a social media presence. Like it or not, I have a love-hate relationship with social media, but you have to have it if you're a business owner. You have to. It's not that you're going to get leads from it. And most of us think, well, what's my rate of return of XYZ? So all that to say, Mark, is that there are a lot of realtors. It's a sexy topic to talk about social media. It's a sexy topic to talk about video for social and your evergreen type video, the one timing type videos, to beef up their YouTube channel. You know, I would encourage you to go to Tom Ferry's website, follow his blog, follow his podcast. Tom Ferry is like the Todd Duncan, you know, in that industry, and he'll give you all the great ideas that agents are thirsting for. But even Tom, I don't think is spending enough time on this generational market shift. Like these Gen Zs, when they were 8 years old, they had a freaking smartphone in their hand. I don't even think I had a pager when I was 8 years old. They weren't even out yet. So imagine being an 8-year-old and growing up in an era where video is on your phone, the news is on your phone. They grew up, their parents went through the housing crash. What do you think that their feelings are about buying real estate? You know, they grew up with all these mass shootings that we see now over and over and over. Well, we didn't really see that. It's just, it's fascinating if you actually study the characteristic traits of these folks, and we need to be doing it more. It's sexy to bring it to the realtors. Realtors aren't doing enough of it. They don't understand it. But if you can teach an agent something, you become really valuable. And so a lot of my masterminds lately are how to understand the 2-1 buy down strategy. I don't call it a 2-1 buy down. I call it date the rate. I'm giving them the tools to calculate it on their own. I'm giving them social media graphics that they can use their own because they suck at it. So I just try to, you know, it's like Todd says, the person who can solve the biggest problems make the most money. So what are the biggest problems that agents have? Eleanor's on this call. Eleanor, what's your biggest problem you have in your business right now?
Good resource.
Where is she?
It's going to be, well, it's not quite a problem that we have right now. I'll tell you what I'm hearing most agents saying right now. Most agents don't know what to say to buyers that start talking about they want to wait because the rates are crazy and the prices are so high that they're waiting for the market to crash. Agents don't know how to handle that. And so, Mark, if you can help your agents script that and combine that with what Denise was talking about with the social media, I think you're going to bring a lot of value to them.
Thank you, Eleanor. I appreciate that. And thank you, Denise.
Love to hear what your annual review looks like.
Sure. So my post-closing strategy, just the annual review or the post-closing strategy? Smart answer. I like your Batman in the background, by the way. Who's your favorite Batman? You're on mute.
Kevin Conroy, but he just passed away. He was the voice of the animated series, so.
Okay.
The
My
geeky answer.
videographer, he's a big Batman guy. And so we like to throw that question in randomly with realtors when we're filming them to like break the ice, is like, who's your favorite Batman? So anyways, I'm more of a Marvel person, my son is, but so my post-closing strategy is obviously the day of funding. Every time there's a dopamine moment in the transaction, we're asking for the referral. When they get clear to close, that's a dopamine moment. When they get funded, we're calling them saying congratulations. 3 days after closing, we call, introduce our concierge, post-closing concierge team. Her job is to make sure that if they have any questions post-close, how to update their driver's license, how to file their homestead, that we're still their lender. Let us know what questions you have. So it's just kind of an introduction call. Then when the loan gets transferred, we send them a text message and we call. They almost never answer the phone call, but they get our text message. Hey, be on the lookout. We just transferred your loan. Here's what this means. We're still going to bug you. In this market, we're planting seeds right now that interest rates are artificially high. We fully expect them to come down over the next 12, 18, 24 months. Follow our lead on that. When you start to see them come down, you're going to get a bunch of robocalls. You're going to get a bunch of junk mail. But the worst thing that you can do is pull the trigger too soon on a refinance. And so we will contact you when we think it makes the most sense of when you should refinance. There isn't a rule of thumb like 1 point. But just so you guys know, we've tweaked that messaging a little bit because the robocalls are going to come out. We want them to refinance with us. So when the loan gets transferred, that's usually for our team at about the 2-week time point. And then we don't follow up with them until 6 months. And at that 6-month mark in Texas, the homestead stuff shifted a little bit. So we're just asking them, did you update your driver's license? Because that's what you need to do to file for your homestead. Did you have any questions that we can help answer for you? Did you get all situated in? The 1 year anniversary is when we do, let me back up. Every month we do enroll our clients into HomeBot. That is a tech tool. It is kind of expensive. It's worth it. It's a tech tool I would have in your toolbox. So every month they get what I describe it as an equity analysis. They can see how their home's appreciating in value. You can see how your neighbors are doing. But every year you can expect a home loan analysis where I personally look at, is your mortgage operating as efficient as possible? Meaning, are you in the right loan program? Is your homeowner's insurance still in place? Did you file for that homestead that you may have thought you did, but you didn't? At the 1st year anniversary, we do encourage them to pull up their inspection report. 2020 people, there was a report that said buyers had the most buyer's remorse in 2020. They felt rushed to make a decision. They felt rushed to buy that house and they don't love it. We will expect to see those as listings, I'm sure, but that's why we're pulling up the inspection report. We couldn't negotiate repairs, but is there something on there that we didn't fix at the time that maybe we should, to ultimately make sure that your asset's being maintained? First-time home buyers have no idea how to maintain a home. I leverage that to outsource contractors. But the initial Denise would get an email from my CRM that says, hey, this person's annual review is coming up in a week. I would go in and I would look at their mortgage. I would calculate like what their loan balance is. Let me see if I've got an email template for you guys. I'll put it in the chat later. But I'm looking at, can we remove their PMI insurance? Is their interest rate competitive? I would calculate how much money they paid down towards principal, what their current home value is, how much equity they have, and I would combine those and say, so here's your current, good news in green. Instead of renting, this is what you've paid towards principal, and this is how much your home's appreciated. So the old me, when I had enough time, would proactively put that together, email it to them. I started doing a version of a screen share delivering, and then I found that I wasn't getting a whole lot of responses. So the Denise today sends an email to them that says, congrats, it's your 1 year anniversary, or congrats, it's your 5 year anniversary, whatever it is. And it says it's time that we do a home loan checkup. I want to check this, and this. Do you have a will estate in place? Are you overinsured or underinsured? I stole that from Wally. And I say, respond to this email with your mortgage statement and we can jump on a call and look at this together. And I started putting the ball in their court so that I wasn't wasting my time. Maybe that's not the right word to use, but when I get the responses now is when I do the annual review. That's not a proactive response. It's a reactive response. I'm sure I could do a better job of it. And if I had a concierge team to actually do it, I'd probably capture more. But that, full disclosure, is what it looks like today. And every year we do an annual asset review. And by the way, my CRM, the day before, this is a big miss that I think people have with their CRM, is they don't leverage it for realtor communication. A text message goes out to my agent that says, hey, Eleanor, it's Joe Schmo's 4 year anniversary tomorrow. Here's the address. Here's their contact information. Like, call them, wish them happy anniversary, deliver them cookies. Wow. But I'm giving that to them because I want to be their CRM. Hey, Eleanor, it's Joe's birthday tomorrow. Here's their text message. Maybe you want to shoot them a video text. So I'm positioning myself as a partner. They don't get that information. You know what I mean? They may not, we already know they're not great at follow-up. They're not behind a computer all day. We are. So I try to, again, leverage myself like a true business partner so they don't even have to think about it. But then I deliver it in a method where it's super easy for them, where it's like, oh, I got a text message. Oh, I've got this person's cell phone number. Okay, cool. I'm driving, but I can shoot them a text message that says happy birthday. You know what I mean? So you have to always think about it. When I try to email somebody or deliver something to somebody, try to think of what's the most efficient method of them getting that information and doing something with it.
Thank you.
Good.
Hey, Denise, Justin here. Wanted to ask you at your stage of business, what are your green activities? And do you consider social media a green activity?
Social media is probably the biggest and most green activity I have. And full disclosure, I know some of you guys have asked about this. Deborah, who is at the academy, she's my twin sister. She does run, I pay for her services, and she does the bulk of my social media. And so she does predominantly most of the standard graphics. And then when I record my reels and such, there's a package where I can just send it. I can send her the video. They put all the captions in, they do the fun, you know, they've got different stuff, but I still have to record and create the videos. And I do feel very, 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 very passionate that you can't just have a social media feed of like just graphics. You can, and that's better than not doing anything, because it looks like your lights are on, but it looks like you outsourced your social media. And if you think about it, that generation, they want to know what you do. They want to know what you ate for breakfast. Like there's a level of, you have to combine, there's a level of business and there's a level of personal that you do have to put on there, because that's what keeps them thinking that you didn't outsource it. And I think that's the hardest habit to create, is like, it is a habit to create. And it can mess with your mind, because like, you don't want to just schedule a date with your wife so that you can go to dinner, so that you can take a picture of this fancy place that you're at. Just, like if your mind starts going there, you have a problem and you need to stop. But I would say the bulk of my time is content creation. And it's not even just for myself, it's for my realtors, because they're not good at it. And the same way that we struggle with it, I'll invite a realtor into the office to shoot some videos. Guys, your videos can be shot with iPhones. Like, don't overthink it. It can be with an iPhone and a ring light. I have a ring light right here. Like, I've got fancier equipment, but right now what I'm doing is I have a webcam just like all of you, and I shoot so much of my videos just like this. Don't overthink it. Just get it done. But realtors, you put them in front of a camera for their social and they're like, I don't know what to say. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't know what to say? Pretend I'm calling you on the phone and I'm asking you, you know, what's the market like? And they just freeze. And they're human. They're just like us. They struggle. But again, if you can help them with it, then you become a problem solver. So I get them in here and they're like, I don't know what topics to talk about. I'm like, all right, well, let's go to Tom Ferry's website. He's got a list of the top 25 things. Okay, great. Let's take 5 of those. Let's shoot them. And they, as they do them, as you do them, you get more comfortable. But social, so, you know, production pipelines are down. We can get $99 to death with technology. And I see some loan officers scaling back on that marketing side and the social media side. And I think it's a super slippery slope. Like, you have to stay consistent there. Like, you have to. Not because you're going to get 10 leads next week. But if you want to be credible and you want to attract realtors to you versus chasing them, because I don't know about you guys, but I don't like to chase people. I want to attract them. You will attract realtors to you because they'll be like, damn, she's putting out content every day. Now, Plug and Play is doing 70% of it. I'm still posting, you know, my banana bread that I attempted that epically failed, because that makes me human. Or the toothpaste that's stuck on my side of the sink. And I'm like, do you think this is my side of the sink or my husband's side of the sink? Because that kind of stuff is relatable. It's toothpaste on a sink, but it's funny. You know, like when Todd Duncan said he shit a Twinkie, like I almost lost it, because it's like Todd Duncan, the man, like we put him on such a pedestal and he's talking about shitting a Twinkie. That is funny. So you want to throw in that human side of you. And sometimes the most boring things we do is the most relatable. So if you have to time block that and put it on a calendar of like 3 business posts here, 2 personal, do it. Don't skimp on the marketing side of things.
Awesome stuff. Hey, Denise, so many good golden nuggets. I'm specifically curious. This is Chase Harmon in Dallas, Texas. I'm curious about when you went from 7 million to 34. Thanks. Now my new goal is 35. Was there like a top 3 things you would attribute making, like tripling your business and making it from 7 million to 35? And I am pretty much a one-man band. I do have a little support, but like, what would be the top 3 things? And then did you have coaching that year?
Yes. So Todd Duncan coaching, as soon as I left the academy, I signed up for Duncan coaching. They do help just hold you accountable. You know, it's easy to slip into 4 weeks pass by and you're like, crap, I didn't do my homework. You know what I mean? So the accountability is super important. But the number one thing that I did is evergreen videos. And if you go to my YouTube channel and you click on the oldest videos, they were so awful, but I recorded videos like how to explain a HUD. What is the debt to income ratio? What does that do? What does that mean? What type of documents do you have to give to a lender? What's the difference between pre-qualified and pre-approved? Like all those annoying questions that we answer all the time. I quite frankly just got tired of answering it. And I had to figure out a way to free up time for myself because I was a one-man show. And so I put them up on my YouTube channel. I bought a domain name. I have a domain problem, buying problem. It's called mortgagenerd.tv, but it's an easier way to like post in social or to give it to a client than like your really long, ugly YouTube channel. But I just started creating a library of content so that if I was on the phone with a client and a realtor texts me, hey, my client's asking when you pull their credit, is it a hard pull or a soft pull? I sometimes wasn't even on the phone, but I've time blocked that I'm working on XYZ. I would shoot them a text and say, I'm so sorry. I'm in the middle of a Zoom. Here's a link to help answer that question. Let me know if you need more information. And so I just saved myself from probably a 15, 20-minute phone call because I had the answer there. Now, when you're a one-man show and if business is slow, it's really easy to fall into the trap of, let me just take that. But you're also training them. Don't text me that kind of stuff. Be resourceful. Look at the YouTube channel. All of my emails and such in my CRM. So my coach helped me drill down on your database is king. You need to start building a CRM that's true to you and true to your business because you have to have a follow-up process. And then I just shot videos one after the other. And they were for those one-timing videos. You know, social media wasn't what it was today, but it was just to free up all those questions that you get. How do you shop interest rates? How do you help find me the lowest rate? And when it's on YouTube, they just get lost. They start binging your YouTube channel. And so, not to mention, Google owns it and people start to find you that way. But that's what I think from 7 to 34 would be my top things. Let me look at these questions really quick. Marry the house, date the rate, divorce the rent. Yeah, so I call the 2-1 buy down our date the rate loan program. Who's your favorite Spider-Man? Love HomeBot. Have any of you guys enrolled in certified liabilities? I did not. How much time do you spend creating videos and social media? So I one day, y'all, this is how easy this is. 1 2-hour session a month. 2 hours once a month. I batch all my content. Ladies, I do my hair once. I bring a couple different tops. So that's 24 hours a year that I spend on videos or social media stuff. Research my topics, shoot it, email it over to Plug and Play. They'll post it on all your platforms and schedule it, and they research when you should post it and what hashtags you should have. And I don't have time to consume all that stuff. That is an animal in itself. But if you just think about it, start baby steps. Pick the first Tuesday of every month from 10 to 11. You'll get 3 or 4 videos, and those videos you can use for every Tuesday that you post, for that month. And it gets done. And then what you do is you start creating enough of it that sometimes you don't even have to reshoot it because you can just use a video that you did in March and post it in December and nobody knows. And that's why nobody knows when I'm traveling or I'm on vacation, or because my stuff still gets posted and you think I'm in the office and you think I just shot it, but I didn't. So most of my December content is already done and created, and I did it in November, the start of November. I took my Christmas photos like November 3rd. So I've got a picture of me in front of a Christmas tree. I've got a picture of me with a bunch of Amazon boxes in front of the tree, holding a coffee mug that says "Tired as a Mother." And I'm going to use it as a post of what the night before Christmas really looks like. Because let's be real, it's like all the Amazon boxes are coming in. You're like, great, now I have to wrap them all. That's relatable. But I did all that at the first week of November. It just looks like I did it in December. How many posts do you send per week in social media? A lot. I at least post once a day, usually twice a day. Start somewhere. Start somewhere. I wonder who has more domains. I have so many, it's an addiction. Denise, which social platform do you think is seen most? Your YouTube channel or your Insta, Facebook? What advice do you have on getting started with being more active on social media? Making it a priority, putting it on your calendar and just doing it. I think Instagram right now is great. My sister would say TikTok. I'm not great on TikTok. But Instagram right now is great. And my Instagram, let me just show y'all this real quick. We got 4 minutes. We're probably going to go over a little bit if y'all are okay with that. Let me show you this cool little tricky trick. And it's free. Y'all know I love free. So let me share my screen. All right. Give me a thumbs up or a yes if y'all can see my screen. Okay. So here's one of the best things that I ever did on my Instagram. I do, by the way, these followers are all organic. Oh crap, I didn't mean to click that. Don't stress about the followers because people buy followers. You want natural organic followers. You don't want a bunch of bots. Okay, that's not what you want to do. Here's the profile that Todd called out. I help people build wealth with home ownership. This link right here is a URL that I bought. It's a domain. So you just asked, what do I do with all the domains? There's so much that I do with them. But if you click on all nerd info, it's going to take you to a free service called Linktree. And Linktree is kind of this new digital form. It's super easy to use. And you can create however many buttons you want on it. And so if someone lands on my page, they can see get started with home buying, most common questions. Here are my Google reviews. If you want to contact me, it's kind of like a custom website, but websites can get so convoluted that it's like quick buttons, you know, and everybody wants quick right now. The cool thing is, like, you can put your YouTube channel. I do encourage everybody to have a My Story on their page. If you click on most common questions, it takes you to another free link tree. And these are all videos. How to buy a home with the lowest monthly payment, pre-qualified versus pre-approved. What are current mortgage rates? We find the best rate for you. Ready to get started? Buying a home online form. How much money do you need to buy a home? Let me show you how terrible this video is. This is an old video. You click on it, goes to my YouTube channel, and it's me in front of a whiteboard with my iPhone that you can't zoom in and out. The internet's lagging because we're on Zoom. Y'all can pull it up. Y'all can take all these, swipe and adapt them. But it's nothing fancy, and it's me answering. See? Lighting's horrible. It's a whiteboard. I have no mic. When I walk close to the board, you can't hardly hear me. Don't overthink it, y'all. 1.3 thousand views in 3 years, and I still use it today. I look like a baby. So, I like Instagram. So follow me on Instagram and copy my stuff. Not the stuff that Plug and Play creates, though. She'll kill me. So, which is pretty much everything. But y'all get the feel. So these are little story buttons, rate updates, my reviews. You just try to think of it as what people want to find information quick, you know? So, but hiring a coach, they will help keep you accountable. They'll be able to answer your questions. They'll help you with rebuttals. You know, you could go at it alone, or you can usually get to your destination faster if you have a coach. So just consider that. All right. I'm going to answer one last live question and one last chat question. Did you do all your videos, one-time videos through YouTube or BombBomb? I do it all because I was broke. I used a program called Screencast-O-Matic. Screencast-O-Matic. Just put it in the chat. It's free. The first 15 minutes that you use it, it's a screen share. It's like a Loom, but it's free. You record it and you upload it to a free YouTube channel. So everything was free. Last live question. Shoot. Who wants it? Nobody? All right. Thank you guys. There are 2 more Todd Duncan Q&As. You've got Wally, who is like super brilliant, and Cody, the smartest, high trust. He's great with questions, great with listening. I can't wait to tune into both of those. Make sure you've got them on your calendar, sign up. And if you have any feedback for myself or for Todd, I'm pretty sure the people who sign up for coaching will get access to the private Todd Duncan Facebook group, which is a great way to collaborate. And so thank you guys. I appreciate you guys tuning in. If you need anything from me, just holler at me on Instagram, or you can go to Denise@themortgagenerd.com. Thanks, guys.